Hello, fellow female activists. Today, we actually are going to be hearing about a recommendation. Okay. So, Cathy Bettis, your fellow female activist, as well as wellness coach. And when I started my YouTube channel, I have one main focus. Okay. And that is to impart upon all of you wellness. Okay. Wellness tips. That's a very big umbrella, though. So we're going to definitely talk about not just wellness in the respect of mental, physical, spiritual, environmental health. We're also going to make sure that you have different tools and tricks and resources. So every so often you'll hear me recommend what I believe are some useful tools, services, products, so forth and so on. And so, listen in. They might be useful to you, maybe not, but it's always helpful. As we always start, though, before we go any further, we are going to PQ rep, so positive quotient repetitions. We want to build that mental fitness, right? Okay. And so by always coming to here, our positive quotient, our PQ reps, we are training our brain how to, again, experience life with a more positive mindset versus a negative one. Okay. So here we go. Whether you are, again, able to or not, it's okay. If you don't want to close your eyes, you don't have to. I will close my eyes. And whether you're standing, sitting, or sitting down, standing, please go ahead and think about growing your tallest self, i.e., make sure your spine is nice and straight. And what I want you to do is this is kind of high grade PQing, but I know you can do it. What I want you to do is assuming you can hear, go ahead and listen to whatever is gaining your interest. At the same time, what I want you to do is to keep coming back to your breath. So your main focus should be your breath. But anytime something that you hear distracts you, that's when you would give it a name, and one word is enough. So right now I'm hearing traffic outside. So I would just name it traffic. And then I would come back to my breath. We're not changing our breath. We're simply observing our breath. But anytime you get distracted by other outside sounds, you're going to name it in your head and then come back to your breath. So the name of the game here is labeling while breathing. So as I've been talking, have you been listening to your breath? And you can repeat breath in your head. Breath, breath. And then if something catches your attention, your hearing, label it, but then come back to your breath. Come back to your breath if you've been drifting. And when you're ready, flicker your eyes open and you can come back. So that is a leap forward when it comes to your positive quotient repetitions or your PQ reps. That's a big deal. When we are labeling while breathing, okay, or concentrating on our breathing, that takes a lot of focus. It's very much like meditation, right? When we keep bringing our our thoughts and our focus back into what we're doing, i.e., whether it's meditation, whether it's a PQ rep, thinking about our breath, the idea is that we are focusing, we are creating more self-command. And so we really want to think about the fact that PQ reps basically are putting us into the habit of making sure that we stay focused. And that is going to mean such a big difference to you when, in fact, you're in a heated debate and you're trying to focus without getting more heated, right? You're trying to tell yourself, and no one knows that you're rubbing your fingers, okay, let's say behind you, so that you don't yell at that person. No one knows that you might be counting your breath or paying more attention to it as they're talking to you. What's wonderful about the positive quotient repetitions is that it helps you reset your nervous system and get clear-headed without disturbing anyone else. You're simply utilizing, again, what's already inside you so that you can stay in that calm state, so you can get to flow even when you don't think you really can. You might be closer than you think, all right? So again, just a wonderful way to help you, again, access your flow state faster, okay? We already know that, these times are going to be very taxing. So anything that we can possibly do to keep our nervous system as neutral as possible, as often as possible, that's a big win, okay? So we are here again to talk about a recommendation that I have. So again, for the most part, most of these videos have more to do with tips, tricks that have to do with how you can elevate, okay, your mental, your physical, your spiritual, environmental wellness, right? Okay, your health. Well, when I know of recommendations that can help you in that journey, of course I'm going to share, okay? So I did not mention originally, but along with all my certifications, again, I think of myself as a wellness coach. Everything that I have within my toolbox of business tools, resources, and so forth, to me, all come under that compass, or I say the campus or the coverage of wellness. So, two different recommendations, more or less, but a main recommendation has to do with just safety in general. Okay, we are living in very unique times, right? So, the first recommendation with regards to safety has to do with social media. So, I'll give you a little story. Okay, I left Meta, Facebook, and IG before the January 1st, 2025 date. And why was that? For different reasons, but one of the main ones, okay? And besides the fact that obviously Zuck decided to kiss the ring and the butt and everything else of someone we don't want to mention. But beyond that, and let me back up even further. When the breach happened with analytical data, I forget the name of Data Analytica from Great Britain. That should have been a clue for all of us to leave at that point, but we didn't. And I didn't leave because I actually have, again, a service that I knew was going to help me. And I'll talk about that service later in a little bit. But what I'm getting at is that my safety was important to me, but I didn't feel threatened, at least not then. That was like 2015. I believe around that time, 2014, it could have been earlier, but I think it was around 2014. Anyway, so we stayed on the platform, Facebook, right? Despite the fact that all of our data had been breached, as it has been in every other, possible vendor that we use. But it was very massively used for the wrong reasons when that breach happened, okay? So long story short, before January 1st, when the new AI conditions were going to go into effect, I left Facebook and IG. The only reason why I stayed with WhatsApp, also owned by Meta, is simply because a lot of my business associates and international friends use it. Do I think it's wise? No, but knowing that I don't actually put anything what I would consider political or anything disturbingly out of context, then I feel okay, at least for now. That might change, right? But for now, a lot of my business associates use WhatsApp for business. So I'm in their projects, I'm helping them out. I get to be in there. So with that, I did leave again Facebook and IG before January 1st, 2025. I happened to have been on Twitter for like a minute back in 2016. Then I realized, oh, I don't like this. So I got off. No big deal there. And I bring that up because right now we're in a situation where we already know that all of our personal data is out there on the Ethernet, right? I mean, anytime we give our information to anyone and any entity, there is the possibility, more than likely, that they're going to be breached. And I can tell you right now, all of our information is already out on the dark web. So am I trying to scare you? A little, yes, but I just want to give you a reality check. So the recommendation. Well, again, I had two recommendations, remember? So the first one being social media. I would ask of you. Now, there's differing, I guess you could say, differing thought processes. One being, okay, well, I'm going to get off this platform because I don't feel safe. That's what I did. I did not like the idea of what happened to Twitter very well happening onto Facebook, and I did not want to be part of that. There is the other camp that says, oh, well, you shouldn't get off these platforms because then that leaves nothing but the negative. Well, that's a valid point. And I would also say that each individual gets to decide for themselves. Um, I, again, was on Twitter for like 2 seconds in 2016. I'm like, okay, well, what's the point? I'm getting off. I don't really like the platform itself. I am now on Blue Sky. Okay. And I got on Blue Sky simply because a lot of my mentors happened to use Blue Sky. All right. So many of them were, again, in the political arena, and I wanted to keep following them. And so they were going to drop off. Some were already long gone from Facebook, but some were still there. So a lot of them now are on Blue Sky. So I'm getting to the point where I myself, again, I already feel safe because of the protections that I already have, but I want to be extra safe, right? So I got off Facebook, I got off IG. I wouldn't even I think I opened up a Snapchat once and hopefully I closed it. I don't know. But like, in other words, I'm not big on social media to begin with, so to speak. But I will say that at least for now, that in my view, being anywhere around Meta is not your preferred place. And it's one that you should take seriously considering, do you stay on it? Okay. And that's any social media. What I will also say is that whatever you decide, whenever you are using any third-party vendor, their website, their whatever it is, you must use two-factor authentication, two-step authentication. Okay, it's another way, and preferably using like a third-party authentication code. Okay, meaning like if you use Google authentication, you get a code that comes up and it changes like constantly. No longer should you should never just have just a user ID and a password to any website. I don't care if it's social media, I don't care if it's, your bank. And pretty much every vendor now does have two-step authentication. And so no matter what it is, make sure you have two-step authentication. But please consider where you are, one, sharing just social media information or what platform you're using. And another semi-safety tip is do not use any social media. And in my case, I don't even use Google's version of letting me access others' websites through Google. Why is that? Because if if it were breached, you have just now let anyone into all your other area, all those other websites, simply because one hacker was able to use the Google, to get into everywhere, the Google password to get into all your other websites. So recommendation number one is think about what social media, right, you're willing to stay on, but take extra precautions for sure. The websites or I should say the social media you do stay on, okay? In my case, I am on LinkedIn. I am on WhatsApp, like I said, Blue Sky, and Fanbase. Okay, so Fanbase, I definitely suggest. It's a creator, you know, montage, so to speak, but it's something that you can invest in. So it's something that you can obviously take part in and be part of it and own it. That's amazing. One big underlining rule is that no matter why you're using social media, please remember that you don't own it. It is, in fact, owned by someone else. And for that reason alone, they don't have your best interest in mind. And that would tell me that how you use your time is best spent on helping yourself, not anyone else. Okay. So, what I mean by that is the fact that you already know that all of social media is, instead of bringing people together, it's actually dividing us into these little silos. How are you going to use social media? Okay. Be intentional about it. Showing off funny cat videos is no longer a necessity. We have way too much going on. So my recommendation again is with social media is to be safe. Are you on these social medias for specific reasons? If not, then ask yourself, is it necessary to be on them? Your time is precious. It is your most precious resource. And anytime you can give to you, let's say, a community service, more time that you could spend with family and friends in real time, right? Instead of the meta universe, I would suggest you do so because you're going to put yourself in a better position overall. Um, Social media safety. Again, not getting to, I can go into like a whole video about safety on cyber security. Okay. Um, and instead, I will just tell you that we don't own social media. Okay. Unless possibly like you decide to invest in Fanbase, right? And I'll put all my links to my social media connections in this description. But what I'm getting at is unless you actually have invested in a particular app, you don't own it. And that means that you have no rights when it comes to that app. So if one day you find that your social media account has been shut down, guess what? You don't have recourse, not really. And let's say you have actually a business, right, online in some way, shape, or form. Well, guess what? If you don't have an email distribution list of some sort or a contact management system, okay, or a CRM as they're called, what is it? Contact relation management, right? If you don't have an email list, then you're really not in business because social media is rented space, okay, both for your personal and your professional life. Um, Please, 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 if you take nothing else away from this, I want you to then check out another way I help my fellow female activists is through my oldest business, which I am a proud, I am an associate with a 1099 person, you could say, for tax purposes with Legal Shield. And you can find my business website below. The reason why I never worried about any social media I was on or any time I might have been part of a breach was because of Legal Shield. Okay. Their two services are remarkable and it's available in Canada and or five provinces of Canada, as well as all 50 states in the US. But again, the first recommendation here was about safety on those social media sites. Please, please, please take all the recommended steps that their own websites are giving you so that you can be safe, okay? And then evaluate if in fact you need to be on these websites at all. Second, again, because of what we are being put through, okay, um, as women, okay, as unfortunately those seen as less than equal to the males, then we need all the support and legal security we can get. And that's why I am so proud to always talk about Legal Shield in any way, shape, or form. Okay. So you can, again, check out my website below and you can ask any questions. I'm happy to answer them. And really consider, again, how you spend your time. Again, I have a little more sense of security simply because of my membership with Legal Shield. I know that if I get taken advantage of in any way, shape, or form, or rather, when people think they can take advantage of me, I know that in a tap of an app, I can have a lawyer on the phone telling me what my legal rights are. And that is beyond reassuring. Again, I'm not saying that it's a fail safe for every situation, but it definitely gives me the upper hand when it comes to anyone trying to take advantage of me. Okay. So my recommendations, okay, the first one, social media safety. Always, always, always put yourself first. And if it means that you actually leave a social media platform, guess what? It's okay. Unless you were born before, 2004, or rather, unless you were born after 2004, right? Or somewhere in the early 2000s, right? Then you knew what life was like I did before social media. We survived and we did okay, you know? In fact, we were probably happier, statistically speaking. And now that we are in social media world, guess what? I could take it or leave it, but I know that that's how I connect with a lot of different people, such as right now with YouTube, right? So again, the two recommendations that I'm going to give you today, social media safety, really evaluate and take the time to go through your own social media accounts and see how much privacy you have given up, so to speak, to the platforms, and then take it back. Take as much privacy back as you possibly can. And then two, make sure you check out my website because I can assure you, you're going to want to know all your different rights at a fingertip access, meaning like 24/7, 365, accountable, accessible, and affordable legal services at the tap of an app. And that's crucial right now. Okay. With that, I look forward to hearing and seeing any comments and writing back to you. And again, my website is below, so check it out. And yeah, we will check you out soon. Take care. Take charge. God bless.